Welcome back to Data Center News Asia. Sorry, we're having to do another dial in. It's busy couple of weeks. Speaking of which, how is well? I mean, you're plenty used to fatherhood by this point, but how is number three getting along?
Yeah, all good, happy, healthy. Mother doing well, siblings doing well, daddy doing well. So all good at this stage. Only 12 days into it though.
Fantastic. Well, it sounds like you've earned your trip to Bali next week, and there were probably no discussions about that at home.
We can consider that. Yeah, no, all good, all good. I have got the sign off.
Fantastic news. Well, we've got quite a couple of news stories. We're still in a bit of a disjointed order after we missed a couple of days, so we're doing this on a Tuesday, and we've got a bunch of new content coming out next week. So don't pick us up too much on the Friday days. Let's just watch the news as it comes. There'll be a lot of data center news content to you over the next couple of weeks. We'll start off with this week we've got a couple of investment stories, a couple of new sites in Southeast Asia, and to start off with a new region from AWS. This time it's Taiwan in Taipei.
Yeah, this is AWS's newest region, as you mentioned, 15th across the region now. So yeah, going out quite a footprint, and most advanced economies now in the region do have an AWS region, or will soon have an AWS region. This was announced about a year ago, although had been in the works for quite a while before this. Auto infrastructure, or key infrastructure, I suppose, was set up originally in Outpost 2020, Local Zone 2022, but yeah, now live.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple of Trump-looking comments in here, bringing billions of dollars to invest into the region. But I did see 5 billion was the capex commitment for the various construction projects, data centers, and that would normally include what they're leasing from colo providers as well. But Taiwan does seem to be going off a little bit now. I've also heard of various kind of interests coming around from different Asian end users, should we say, AI companies and the like, as well as obviously this AWS region. We know that Microsoft are investing there, and Google has their own separate to local provision, but their own huge campus down the road. So all systems go for Taiwan right now.
Yeah, that 5 billion number you mentioned, that actually caught my eye as well. But I think reading it, that's will invest an additional $5 billion in advance of what they already have. So I think the actual number is greater. Those numbers from the hyperscalers always need to be kind of taken with a pinch of salt, because quite often they include money they've already committed. And in some cases they include stuff like fiber as well. But significant investment anyway, and hot on the heels of the AWS region launch in Thailand only a couple of months ago. So yeah, exciting stuff.
Absolutely. On to Southeast Asia. So this is a good news story for the gang at Yondr, and I think everyone knows we're not going to name the tenant because it's not named in the press release. But they have handed the Johor data center over ahead of schedule. Not sure. We've seen a few different scheduling announcements for this over the last couple of years since the project was first announced, but they've said that I can't see which schedule this is, but the first 25 megawatts has been handed over.
Yeah, so this is part of their campus up in Johor, which eventually can scale up to 300 megawatts. So this first phase is just under 100, if I'm not mistaken. I want to say 98. Kind of looks like one big building, but I think it's actually two buildings kind of interconnected. So I think this is the first half of the first building, if I'm not mistaken. We toured the site when it was at kind of a shell stage, or not even at shell stage actually, a while ago. But a really nice site, substation right beside it, which they've developed themselves. Obviously got a client commitment. I think the client is kind of widely known, but we will not reveal on this to whoever doesn't know. And yeah, first significant project kind of delivered for the Yondr team in APAC. So congrats to everyone involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Confusing language in the press release talking about AI, ML. Pretty sure, as you and Jonathan mentioned a couple of weeks ago, that the use cases up here in Johor are mostly, or pretty much all CPU. But yeah, good news for the team, and good to see that these Johor sites are indeed kicking on. DCI has also launched a new data center. This is DCI Data Centers Indonesia, not DCI Data Centers from Brookfield. I have to clarify that every time. So this is Pak Toto and the gang, if you will. And this is their 8th facility in Indonesia, which 36 megawatts, they're saying that is Indonesia's largest. Are you guys keeping track of who's the current single site leader in Indonesia?
Yeah, well, this is a kind of a question of how you break down sites versus campuses, etc. But it is a significant development. They've got a number of different locations across kind of central Jakarta and to the east of Jakarta. I've been fortunate enough to tour many of their sites, actually. Not this particular one, obviously, because this is the one that's just gone live, although I believe Vivian may have done in the past. And yeah, it's obviously one of, I suppose, Indonesia in general's success stories. They've got pretty much all the major hyperscalers across their portfolio as clients. And yeah, it seems to just be going from strength to strength.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we will be seeing, I suspect, a large contingent from the DCI team next week at DCD in Bali. I see most of their sea liners already listed on the attendees. So yeah, this is a good event for them. Sorry, I was reading. I was reading the name of the campus there, H1, and thought that was referring to H100. So I probably should have read these stories a little bit sooner than doing this one today. There was another one from the Philippines, which was a little confusing because we did report on this 2024. I guess the announcement here is the closing, but this is Equinix. Equinix, I guess, well, everyone knows because it's been in the press since last year. They are acquiring TIM, which will give them a footprint in Manila. And yes, I believe this deal is now fully closed and over the line.
I can hear your yappy dog. It's distracting me. No, yeah, no, this deal over the line. So TIM were attractive because, as you mentioned already, the footprint, they already had a Equinix style clients in there, probably had some of the supporting infrastructure, ability to offer cross connects and some of the additional services that Equinix would like. So this is a kind of a land and expand strategy, I think is how you could describe it. So they're acquiring a couple of DCs, pretty small, but able to offer clients who need capacity right now. And then I believe there's land or certainly options for land for Equinix then to start their own kind of greenfield developments in conjunction with these TIM assets. So yeah, I think the news here is that this is actually closed, and I didn't actually check the Equinix website, but probably now on the Equinix website and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was chatting to a different operator from who's in the Philippines last week, and the debate I think was around similar to the anecdote that you've used in the past, James, which is a market isn't really a data center market until Equinix are there, and so I think this is probably a good news for the other co-location operators who have been sort of waiting for the Philippines to really kick on and develop its sort of local ecosystem. Get more interest from cloud buyers in terms of capacity. But I think, as you pointed out before, when Equinix comes to a market, that tends to bring with it a lot more education on what co-location products can be available, and it does boost the ecosystem as a whole. So I think most people will view this as good news.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's a very nice way of summarizing.
NTT bought some new land as well. This is a business park site in Mumbai, and I think this is the same park as this is the Balaji IT Park, and I'm just trying to see here whether it's the same park they already have their existing sites on nearby.
I did not check actually, but what caught my eye was that Bollywood legend is involved in the deal.
Yeah,
Jitendra
Jitendra.
Kapoor. I'm not sure if I've seen any of his movies, but I'm sure they're good. More than 200 films, career in 1964. Wow, so he's a veteran.
Yeah, what was his role in this transaction? He was selling the land to NTT.
Uh,
He was the seller. So yeah, I'm sure this will bolster his savings account from his Bollywood films nicely.
yeah, but there wasn't a huge amount. Like I think that's probably what caught the attention of the journalists in India in this particular case. But yeah, NTT obviously have a massive footprint in India, undoubtedly one of the leaders in that market. According to the site, 18 data centers in operation or development, including kind of huge campus style developments in the kind of the major hubs as well. So yeah, it just looks like more capacity coming online from them.
Yeah, absolutely. They've been going gangbusters since 2012, which is before you'd even think of the India data center market being much of a thing. But that was when they acquired NetMagic, and they've been growing ever since. So quite some foresight there from the folks in Japan. Investment stories this week. There was so I think we'd mentioned before that Spark, the New Zealand telco, have been looking. This has been repeatedly reported in the AFR and the Australian, who are normally a good source of gossip in the Antipodean investment circle, and they are officially seeking an investment partner for their data center portfolio, which I guess is slang for selling off a large stake of it to private equity to try and bring some more available capital in for expansion. And we've got the first runners up in the list here.
Yeah, an interesting list. So yeah, we reported Spark looking for investments a couple of months ago now, probably, I guess. Like they're pretty attractive because while they're existing, the amount of capacity they have existing is relatively small. They've got quite a significant pipeline. They also have commitments and the hyperscalers within a couple of their facilities as well. So I could see why they would be an attractive acquisition. A couple of interesting names being linked here in this instance. Some of the people that you would expect, Stone Peak, for example. But then a couple of other firms which certainly I haven't come across that often when it comes to DC assets. So I'm wondering if they like the fact that I'm not sure, but a couple of the names mentioned here: Pacific Equity Partners, QIC, Mitsubishi owned Igneo, and then previously they'd mentioned BGH Capital and TPG Capital as well. So looks like 6, 7 people still in the running for what is pretty interesting set of assets.
Yeah, so I think TPG is one of the pension groups, and they are in data centers. That's coming off the top of my head. Pacific Equity Partner Group. I'm assuming that's
As Pacific Partners.
Pacific Partners. Okay, so that's the CIMIC guys. So they are developing in Australia already, and so New Zealand is usually a logical expansion for those folks. Yeah, Stone Peak would be interesting. Whether that would be part of Digital Edge or whether there'd be some sort of separate agreement. Stone Peak do have their fingers in many different pies, and I'm not as familiar with Igneo Infrastructure Partners, so Mitsubishi owned group. Need to look into those, but yeah, so different to the usual lineup of suspects there in a few areas. But New Zealand is, say, it's an interesting one because it's a smaller market, but it's also by many considered a less risky market on your sort of geographical and geopolitical risk indicators.
Yeah, and they've got the hydros, the renewable story as well behind it, and they're one of the Five Eyes countries, etc. Cool, better wrap up. Only a minute left.
Yeah.
Day
Okay,
one.
so Day One have secured a $412 million loan for their Batam data center. This is from DBS and UOB. So congratulations to the Day One team. This is the Nongsa Digital Park project.
Yeah, which is close to finish.
And
with live capacity already.
You've already got a meeting booked in yourself, James. But Mr. Jason Kwan from OpenAI and the Stargate project is touring Asia at the moment. He's in India this week, but he'll be visiting Singapore, South Korea, and Japan apparently in the next couple of weeks.
Yes, so I have seen this. I have sent him his LinkedIn message, which I don't believe he's got to, but I haven't been as diligent checking LinkedIn. Haven't been on paternity leave, so let's wait and see. But that's interesting. Obviously, it suggests that they're looking for capacity.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be interesting to see where they would choose. I mean, people may have bet on Johor not long ago, Mumbai. I suppose somewhere in Australia would be other logical places. Where could you build a Stargate project?
Who knows? And we've run out of time, so we'll let people speculate in the comments below.
See you in Bali.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.